Up. We'll start with
Will do.
the agenda for tonight. Just want to welcome everyone and say Happy New Year.
Let me get that up here on the front of my screen.
Yep. So we've got Mark. We've got Marty. We've got Chuck. We got Debbie. We got Rachel. And let me see if I'm missing Danny. Looks like Jim Worth, Kyle, Sarah as well. So if we were here in person, we'd have a full house.
Awesome. And to let our virtual participants know, so your voice doesn't carry very far into the room. So if you have a question, please put it in the chat and Caleb will be monitoring that for us.
Okay. Well, so tonight you see we'll go through our normal bond program update, and we'll at the end we'll talk about some adjustments that we'll be bringing back to CBOC. But tonight we wanted to introduce the concept with you. Do a quick review of the draft annual report. And Karma, you had sent this out to everyone. Is that right?
I did. Yep.
Okay. So we'll grab any feedback that you might have, and then for Lisa, we have an in-person tour. And for everybody else, you will see a slideshow of the completed construction. And for those of you who can at some point swing by, I would highly recommend it. It's pretty spectacular. Okay, next slide. Again, next slide. It's just our risk matrix that we have, and then we'll get into the project updates, and that will be Joel jumping in, and he's got some colors that he'll talk to you about. So, Carmen, when you get a chance, if you could move to the next, I'll turn this over to Joel.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you and welcome everybody. Hope you can hear me. We'll just run through these. You've all seen this before. We'll talk about the ones that have had changes. As a reminder, if the numbers have turned blue, that means there's a change in the numbers. If there's an asterisk by the name of school, that means something's changed about its color from the risk matrix. So from the risk piece up front. So really no change at most of these schools. Waldo is the one change. We have that number, the 14 million is about $100,000 higher than it was last time we were together. We reallocated some of the safety and security money that was in a pooled budget to this project to pay for some of the work that happened there. You'll also see over to the right that this project under the unencumbered is running in the red. That was that way last time as well when we met. We are working through final costs, final closeout there. We knew we were going to be in the red on this. We ran in some pretty extensive roof repair, wet insulation, damaged decking underneath that were a big piece of that number. We're just waiting for a final cost reconciliation, so we balanced this thing one time versus moving money there now and then having left over or needing to move money again. So out of purple money back to the colors of money again. So that's all there is on this page. If you want to go to the next one, Karma. Okay, 2020 projects. You'll see an asterisk by south. It is green. It was red the last time we met. Part of the reasons we were red there is we were dealing with a lot of things. We were dealing with smoke delays, COVID delays, a massive amount of seismic work, and one of the biggest things that we discussed the last time was all the archaeology work we were having to do, a lot of unknowns about the site. We have moved to a point now where we feel much more comfortable about where we're at. We are still it's still actively being monitored by archaeologists. Every time we dig in the ground, we're monitoring that site, but we're through the big stuff at South there. The seismic work is on schedule, actually a little ahead of schedule. That is one site where we were able to take advantage of not having staff and students in the building in the fall. We advanced some work there to make this upcoming summer schedule a little more reasonable for our contractor. We did similar things at many schools. McKay is another one that we advanced some scheduled work at McKay to make this upcoming summer a little more manageable. You'll see the other color change here is Hayesville is now yellow. It was bright orange the last time we were together. The last time we met, Hayesville, we were having we had a building that was standing up, tilt-up construction, that had a lot of major problems with the concrete work and with the quality of work they had done. Those walls have now been taken down, and the contractor has cut them up and hauled them off. They're in the process of getting final approval for the revised walls to go up right now. The reason it's yellow is it is behind schedule. It will be behind schedule all the way out because technically it should have been done right about now. And obviously that won't happen. The classroom addition at Hayesville is coming along nicely, but the small gymnasium area is not even close. So that will probably remain yellow until the day we close it out. But we're back underway there pretty good. So next slide, Karma. Just the remainder of the 2020 projects. As a reminder, some of these projects are short, what we call 10-week wonders. Some are 15, 18-month projects. Several of these are wrapping up. Claggett Creek is wrapped up. Cummings is pretty much done. Miller is really close to done with everything, including final closeout. So a lot of these projects are wrapping up. So next slide, Karma. 2021 projects. So all of our 2021 projects are at various stages of final design and in the bidding process. We roll out projects on a schedule when we put them into the bidding market, so we don't flood the market with too much work at one time and end up with lack of bids. So many of these projects are out to bid. Sprague is a CMGC project, so we have a contract already signed to that. West Salem will go out to bid here in the next few days. We'll have bids back for that in early March. Several of the others are on that same path. We do have a couple of bids back for our 2021 projects that we received in the last few weeks that were both under our projected budget. So that was a nice shift to see. We will have projects, we have a project closing later this week. We have 3 projects with bids closing next week. So we're starting to really lock in our numbers for the 2021 projects. And like I say, so far, the costs have been really good to us. So we'll see how that goes over the next couple. Sprague, we are in the process of finalizing our guaranteed maximum price. Still got a ways to work there, and it's a complicated project. West is turning into a pretty complicated project. The hillside that we're putting this building on is steep and wet, and certainly some extra efforts have gone into that. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide, Karma. And Shirley and Myers, just continued projects. We'll come back and talk about Shirley and McKay a little later. Mike mentioned some other projects. We'll come back and talk about those in particular. But that's a wrap up of the 2021. We don't have a slide for it, but we are in the early design phases for our 2022 projects. We have 6 schools that we're actively meeting with every 2 weeks to get through their schematic design, and we're rolling into a couple new schools every 2 or 3 weeks with that process. So it seems like a long ways away, but we are well into design on projects to start for 2022. So that's all I have. I'll turn it back over to Mike.
All right, thanks, Joel. And so we'll just do a quick review of the program financial overview. And Karma, do the CBOC members have a copy of the PowerPoint?
They don't have a copy of the PowerPoint, no.
Okay.
I can email it out.
Yeah, the PDF of the PowerPoint, I think you have that.
Yes.
And yeah, and we'll just get this out for everybody. But this is typically, as Joel said, when there are any changes to numbers, they're in blue. And so, the adjustments that we make throughout, day to day, week to week, month to month, between basically the overhead where we have program funds and then into construction and back and forth is really what's highlighted here. The base amounts of the program haven't changed. We haven't added additional program yet. And if you go down to the base plus program area, you'll see that we've picked up a little over 1.7 million in earnings. And so that's changed the number there. We're starting to get more energy incentives, and that increased by over 160,000. There'll probably be about another million coming our way from Senate Bill 1149. That's just part of our process. And also pursuing facility grants from ODE. Whenever we're increasing teaching space, like every other district, you can apply to ODE for what's called a facilities grant, and we'll have to see. We're not the only show in town, so we'll have to see kind of what we've got coming our way, but we'll keep you updated on that. And then the next slide is really one of my favorites. It's the contingency summary. And once you get a copy of this, you'll see that the good news here is essentially at this point in our program, this is when you're in large programs of this scale, is when you're looking around to make sure you got enough money to close it out. And the good news for all of you is that we do have enough money. In fact, between the base program contingency and the base plus, we've got about 89 million, close to 90 million of unallocated funds in our program. So we're about 60% delivered overall. At the end of this summer, we'll be closer to 75%. So 3/4 of the program is complete, locked in, checks written, money out the door. And we've got about 90 million in reserves. So let me see, I don't see any questions at this point. Does anyone have any questions that you'd like to ask before we go to the last slide? Nancy, we have Nancy McMorris-Audix is with us, so now we have 2 CBOC members. We've doubled our attendance in person. That's awesome. Yes, you have a question. Right. So I'm going to, so people can hear, I'll just relay your question.
Okay. So on the 2020 project.
2020 projects. Yeah, so Joel just covered that, and it's essentially whenever there's a change in color. So South, remember, South was our only orange, right, blaze orange project for a while. It's moved to green. All of the reasons that went from yellow to orange have been addressed and resolved.
Mike, what was the question? I'm sorry, we didn't quite hear.
So the question was, when you have asterisks next to projects, what does the asterisk indicate? And that's just movement in color. So it's basically risk assessments, and we're either going to go from green up to a hotter color, or in the case of South, we move back down to green. Hayesville, similar. That was also orange because it was, remember at the last meeting, we had some quality control issues with respect to the tilt-up walls for the auxiliary gym, which we didn't accept. And so that project will stay yellow because it's not going to be able to make up the schedule. Classrooms will be done on time, but the auxiliary gym won't be. So those are those two. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So I'm going to let Joel answer that, but the question for everyone is, what's the project for Auburn? Because remember, when we were leading up to the bond, we had a brand new school, and then we rescoped that to enhancing and building on site. Remember, we also were able to secure additional property with Marion County. Remember the park that was next to it? That's ours. So we've been able to incorporate all of that into the design, and Joel can give you some details.
Yeah, Auburn turned into a very large project on site, of course. I'll try to highlight some of the big areas. So their current cafeteria, or the previous cafeteria now, was very undersized. It's being converted over into classroom space. The main office is completely relocated. They have a whole new office area, new entryway that's further to the east of the building over by the gymnasium. Those are kind of what you'll see from Auburn Road, from the front of the school. Around behind the school, we're building a new cafeteria and kitchen on the back side. It's also, there is a 2-story classroom addition that's going beside that cafeteria. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how many classrooms, but it's 10 or 12 classrooms that we're adding there. The other one with Auburn is we're removing all of their portables. They were the portable farm of elementary schools. They had, I believe there were 5 units there. One of them was just a single, but there was a bunch of portables. And those are all gone, or will be all gone from the site. There are still 3 there right now that will be leaving this spring. So classroom addition, gym, cafeteria, or cafeteria are the big pieces there. Yeah, I'll repeat the question. Survey on here. Here's it. So the question is around, do we add bathrooms? Do we add other facilities like that when we have a large addition like this at Auburn? And the answer is yes. We have, first of all, there's code-driven requirements that require a certain number of restroom stalls for the number of people you have in a building. But then also we take a look at it and not only we have to meet the code, obviously, for the minimum, but then we look for where they're at. So in this new wing, there's restrooms, there's staff restrooms, there's student restrooms, and all of that at Auburn, yes. So, yep, thank you.
Joel, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, so the risk around, Joel, you might want to see this too. Can you read that up there? Risk, latent defects, mechanical failures, poor materials may not get the volume of use needed to identify the issues. The idleness of the buildings may delay occurrences of warranty claims and beyond the warranty period. Is there anything being considered for this topic moving forward? That's a really good question. I didn't expect anything less from Chuck.
That's a great question, Chuck. That is a challenge for sure, because like you say, we're not fully exercising these buildings right now. We're standing in, the new commons at North Salem right now that hasn't really seen students, hasn't been exercised. Brody was talking to me earlier about, some of the things that after you move in, the building gets handed to you, you have the keys, but there's so much more about getting it actually up and operational. So, we we say this building is ready, but until we shove kids in it, we don't really know how ready it is. But we do have students coming in. You know, the systems are operational. The warranty periods have started. We would love to be able to delay the warranty periods, but that's something that, of course, would take a pretty significant contract change. What we do, part of our process when we take over a building is we go through what's called commissioning. Commissioning agents come in and they verify that all of the systems are working, that they're functioning as designed, and that, you know, everything from lighting to HVAC to windows, that they're not leaking. We do all kinds of testing and verification. We have what we call envelope testing. So they literally spray water on windows, high pressure, higher than you would ever see in a rainstorm around here, to ensure that they're not leaking. So we go through a really rigorous process just normally with these projects, and then at some point we have to accept the building and the warranty period starts for most of our systems. I don't know if that answered your question entirely, Chuck. I hope it did there. Looks like Chuck is typing, but we'll let him type.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we do have staff giving the buildings a whirl as well. So so that's good. Okay, Jesse, I'm glad that South is back on track. Is lack of in-person attendance going to expedite all of our construction? You know, sometimes it depends. As Joel was saying, we were able to do more of the seismic work in South because we didn't have kids, and so that means the next summer where we had it all loaded with seismic is going to be a little more manageable. So it's not all the projects moved forward quicker, but some certainly did. Okay. All right. Next slide. And this is the one where we talk a little bit about a proposal that we'll bring back to CBOC at the next meeting, but we wanted to give you kind of a heads up of where we're going.
And
Now,
everyone's the,
PowerPoint,
yeah, is that showing for everyone, the PowerPoint?
it's not.
It is not. What is the deal here? Let me try that again. Okay.
Well, as you're pulling that up, I can just kind of guide you through the thinking. So we've got about 90 million in unallocated reserves for the program. Nancy and Mark and Lisa can attest that we had a much longer project list with a lot more repair and renovation that didn't make it into the base program. And for those of us who were around for the 2008 bond, we found ourselves in a similar situation where we had unallocated program funds, and at that time, that CBOC made the decision to take the remaining funds and put it in the repair and renovation category, which allowed us to go back through and touch every school again. And so the proposal that we'll bring back to you next meeting will look very similar to what we had done with the 2008 bond, where we'd like to take about half of the unallocated program reserve and dedicate it to the repair, replacement, and renovation focus. And so we're all into higher math. We can call it R cubed, or we can just call it repair, replacement, and renovation program. And then what we'd like to do is be able to use that decision, assuming that we can work through that recommendation with you all next time, to go to the board so that any of the program that is unallocated as we close projects down can then be moved and allocated over to the repair, replacement, and renovation program. So it basically ties up the program in a nice bow so that, you know, now's the time to be able to make that kind of decision. with the amount of unallocated program reserve that, that we're in the enviable position to actually be able to have this conversation. So that's kind of where we are. And again, more of a formal proposal next time to go over the details, but the concept, I just wanted to get it out there for y'all to kind of see where we're heading. And with that, I'd be happy to open it up to any other questions that might be out there. And then Yancy, Lisa, and the crew here are going to do a nice intimate tour of North High, and the rest of you are going to see a slide, a presentation of the construction. And I will say, I'm not allowed to have favorites in the program, but if I did, it would be this project. It's spectacular.
Hey, I just wanted to say really quick that as of like last week, my sister's going to start going to North. I'm stoked for these renovations here.
Okay, I'm not sure everybody can hear each other. You can hear that? Okay.
I think we heard that. Yep.
Okay. All right. Mark, as the lone CBOC co-chair that's not in person, as Lisa says, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, Mike, appreciate the efforts that you guys did, and enjoy your tour.
All right. You guys good? All right, we're good. Thanks, folks. I appreciate your time.
Mike?
Yeah.
Mike, I just, it's Marty. I just made a comment that I'm sure you're keeping enough contingency to take care of any unknown problems. I think I know you well enough to know that you are, but I just want to get that out there.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And remember the conversation we had a while back, that we would start a list of things that aren't in the bond, project scope for specific projects. Well, this repair, renovation, replacement program helps address that list that we've been keeping track of things as we roll through the program.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Well, thanks, folks.
Thanks. So if y'all in the virtual room want to hang around, I have a slideshow of some photos of North as it is. So while they're having their walk around, we can have a little slideshow.
A virtual tour.
Virtual tour. Yeah, bear with me for a sec while I get it queued up here.
What music did you select, Karma?
Oh, well, I thought I'd just hum, if that's okay.
You're gonna hum?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready.
Let's see. Too many windows open here. I'm confusing my machine. Okay. Can y'all see it? Kind of?
Not quite yet.
Yeah, okay.
Nope.
I don't think it likes it when it doesn't like me to start the slideshow before I hit share screen. That seems to be the issue. So here we go. Nope, still not working. Alrighty. Oh, I think we're getting somewhere. How's that? Great. Okay, North Salem High School. So if you were able to join us for the ribbon cutting in the fall, you hopefully saw the west entrance. This is the new entrance from the parking lot on the west side of the school, leads us right into the commons area where the on-site meeting was taking place, and also to the athletic complex. And this is just inside the new secured vestibule at that west entrance. So similar to what we have on the front of the building now, we have a secured space so that folks can enter, check in at the office, and be cleared then to go into the rest of the building and be oriented and help find their way around. Here's the commons. It was in the process of being set up when we took this photo, but this is where the on-site meeting was held this evening. Lovely two-story space. And it's just to the left of the west doors as we turn in. And now we're going to pretend we're walking across this room to that stairway over here and go up the stairs. And we've come up the stairs, and now we're looking back south. And this is just above that satellite commons. We've got some nice extra seating here for students. Can head over and look through the windows here into the gym space. here on the left would be the new health sciences classrooms. But before we head that way, we're going to turn around and look just north behind us through the doors that go to the elevated walkway. This is the walkway that takes us from the new addition to the existing building on the second floor. Okay. Now we're heading back. We're going to peek in that health sciences room we saw before, also sort of in a state of setup, but they've got some really exciting equipment. I'm really excited for them to have these brand new whirlpools and some nice tables for practicing their sports therapy and other skills. And now we're going to head downstairs to the cabinet making space just below. A new career technical education space for the woods and cabinet making program. Really awesome equipment and fully decked out here. Adjacent to the classroom lab space, they have actual classroom space as well. So they can do some design work in here and then move into the lab and actually put it into application. And here's from inside that new cabinet making classroom space, where they're doing virtual lessons now. Actually, 3 of our high schools are partnering to produce virtual lessons from this new space here at North. So now we're going to leave the woods program and walk across the hall to the south and peek inside the new gym from the main floor. Just an amazing space. I mean, it's just gorgeous. You look up here. This is the auxiliary gym up above, and you can see we've got some movable bleachers to, we can expand for seating for games in the main gym or smush them together to use the auxiliary gym space behind. And this is also a walkway here that ties the second story from the new classroom addition here on the left to the commons area. We're going to go up to that new walkway there. So here we are on that pathway goes through the gym, from the commons area over to the new classroom wing. But first, I guess we're going to peek in the weight room. So just below in the new classroom wing, we have the replacement weight room space. As you may recall, one of the first things that had to be demolished at North to accommodate the new construction was their existing weight room. So now they have a nice new replacement. We've also got new locker rooms, which are just so pretty. And here's sort of a view from the site camera of the 2 classroom wings. So we were just looking inside of, let me get myself oriented here. Just inside of this one was the weight room area here and the locker rooms. On the second floor is some classroom space. On the right side here of the classroom wing, we've got also special education classrooms and then additional general education classrooms. And now we're going to take a walk up this courtyard entry here in between the 2 wings. You can see what that approach looks like. And this enters into the classroom wing, also a great tie right into the athletic area, and there's a concession in here. So when we have football games outside at North, you'll be able to walk over here, or, also for basketball games, I think. Anyway. So a view inside a new classroom in the new classroom wing. Nice light, bright space. Here's another new classroom. I love these really flexible tables that allow you to work in groups, have individual space. You may have all seen and may recall the science classrooms. These were finished in the first summer of work. The district outfitted 1 new classroom and renovated a second one. This is the new one. And here's an example of a shared lab space between science rooms. Great support to the teachers. And here's that secured vestibule at the front entrance, which was also finished in the first summer of work. And to just wrap it all up with a shot of our ribbon cutting ceremony last fall, we had 3 North students do the honors. It was a great day. So there's your virtual tour. Any questions or comments or things to share?
It looks beautiful. I mean, I'm super excited to go see this, and yeah, just thank you for your work on communicating all this out and for showing us.
You bet, absolutely. Yeah, I love North too. I have to say, I'm a McNary grad, but I love this project. It's just spectacular. So,
Thanks, Karma.
yeah, thanks, Mark. Okay, y'all. Unless you have other questions or requests from me, I think we can sign off and we'll see you next time.
Alrighty, have a good night, guys.
Good night.
you.
Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Karma.
Thank you.